Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going over the new spoilers for Legends of Runeterra. So today we have some new dragon spoilers, which means that we're probably getting the new dragon champion tomorrow. So the first card we have is Egghead Researcher, a 2-mana 1/3. When I'm summoned, create a random dragon follower in hand. So being a 2-drop for the dragon deck that creates a dragon in hand is actually pretty powerful. The idea that dragons are going to be probably going to be a cost reducing deck that wants their dragons to cost less and then pump out a ton of dragons in the early game is going to make Egghead Researcher much more valuable as it creates extra dragons, and the fact that it can be a non-committal play turn 2 that keeps our hand state the same, so that way cards like Herald of Dragons and other things like that can have the most impact possible is going to make Egghead Researcher a pretty good card for the deck. Even if you're not playing the cost reducing version, you're still going to want more dragons. You can never have too many. And Egghead Researcher being a 2-mana card for the deck that's very non-committal and can be played early against a deck like aggro, which dragons don't have a lot of momentum against. That definitely Egghead Researcher is going to be a staple card for that. Now, if you're playing a cost-reducing deck, I can actually see in an aggro meta, I can see a sort of a argument for not playing him because you'd rather play Herald turn 2, turn 2 or turn 3, and then get out some dragons turn 4 or even turn 3 with Mobilize. So there's definitely some arguments for not playing him, but I definitely think he's going to be a pretty good card for the deck overall. Next, we have Dragon Guard Lieutenant, another 2-drop that's a 3/2, and it states, when I'm summoned, if you behold a dragon, grant me Challenger. So this is a lot like Boxtopus. We're seeing some extra 2-mana challengers. This is a 3/2 instead of the 3/1 that Boxtopus is. And as you've seen with the Goat, with Mountain Goat, having 2 health versus 1 health can make the difference between a card being competitive and viable and not. Now, I definitely think Boxtopus is compatible in every way. It works really well in the healing deck, really well in a self-damaging deck, and is pretty good overall. Dragon Guard Lieutenant's only going to be better, can only go up from there because of the fact that it's super easy to get off and is a 3/2. Now, granted, it doesn't have healing or self-damaging synergies, but it is a good dragon card. And for the deck, you're going to want some early drops, ways to target things and kill them. Like maybe Kalista. I'm not really sure what is going to be in the meta in the future, but I could definitely see this card being viable if it's necessary. Now, otherwise, you're just going to want to be filling your deck with dragons, and this isn't a dragon, so not a lot of synergy there. So something to think about for sure. Next, we have Stony Suppressor. It's a 2-mana 1/3 that says all spells cost 1 less. What? Or 1 more. What? So this is basically a hate bear for Magic the Gathering. If you don't know, it just means hate bears mean that certain spells can't be played or cost more. This card looks super insane, guys. Like, this card looks incredible. So if your opponent's going to remove it, they're going to have to spend 1 more mana on the spell they're going to be using to kill it. If they're going to use a combination of things like a Make It Rain or a Mystic Shot combined to kill this, they're going to have to spend 2 more mana. And they're usually spending 2 cards on that. 1 or 2 cards for this card. Way more mana. That's insane. Especially for a deck like Dragons who really just needs big dragons in the late game. And this can buy you some time. And it makes aggro decks worse because aggro decks try to switch to a more burn-centered plan in the late game. I mean, obviously it doesn't impact them as much as it does control decks, but it definitely can hurt them a little bit. This card just seems insane. Your opponent has to spend extra mana to remove it, and it's only 2 mana. Most spells they're going to have to kill this are going to be over that, like 3-4 mana. In addition, not because of what she says, just on face. What she says is they cost 1 extra, so 4 and 5 mana. Unless your opponent has a keg that they're going to use to increase the damage of like a Mystic Shot to kill this the first try, that's still 3 mana plus the keg. That is an insane amount of resources your opponent has to use on 1 unit. And they have to, or else they lose the game, because a deck like Heimerdinger, a deck like what's another good spell slinger? Ezreal, I guess, but Ezreal hasn't played in a while. But you get the idea, guys. Whatever control deck is you're playing against, they're gonna have to kill this. So this single-handedly, I think, can keep control decks at bay. I mean, like, I'm not sure how many decks are going to be using this card, but it just looks so good. Like, hate bears and magic are very powerful, and Magic the Gathering, their spells are like murder's 3 mana. That's like vengeance is just 4 extra mana than what it would be in Magic the Gathering. And this is the same cost as a card would be in Magic the Gathering. 2 mana is the perfect amount for a hate bear, and 3 mana is the perfect amount for a vengeance in Magic. But in here it's 7 mana, now 8 mana. Like, that just seems broken. This card seems nuts. And if I'm making that comparison correctly, this should be played in almost every meta that has control decks. Like, this just seems nasty. Guys, I don't know. It seems really good. Next, we have Noxria Arena, a landmark for 5 mana that says, round to end, your strongest ally and the weakest enemy strike each other. So basically, your Darius gets to kill their Cytheria. Slither of Cloudfield, not their 6-cost Cytheria. It seems pretty good at crowd control, actually. Each turn, you're going to be killing one of your opponent's non-committal units for basically free. Now, this is a 5-cost card, and for your unit to basically kill one of their 1-cost or 2-cost units, that doesn't seem very good. But in matchups where you're going to be going a little bit longer, if this can kill 3 things, it's probably already paid for itself. Now, could by that time actually have killed your unit as a result of its ability, which could be actually pretty bad. But if you're playing a new strongest ally each turn, then your strongest ally that would have damaged it isn't fighting against your new strongest ally. So it's a lot to think about, especially because it's 5 mana and not cheaper. It means that you're playing Darius turn 6. Whatever your 4-drop was will now fight their 1-drop. Your Darius will fight their 2-drop. And then, assuming they still have these units, by the way, then you don't really have a 7-drop. And so Darius is going to be fighting something again. Then if you do happen to have an 8-drop, which is actually not that uncommon, then it'll fight something. It seems like a really weird card for Noxus. They usually want to be winning the game at that point and don't really want to be spending 5 mana on just an arena card. And this feels way too controlling for what Noxus is. And even a deck like Swain won't want to play it usually because 5 mana, they'd rather just spend on the fast speed spells and save it for being able to have reactivity. So definitely a weird card. I don't think it's going to be very playable. So next we have Sharp Sight, a 2-mana burst speed. Give an ally +2/+2, and I can block units with elusive this round. So guys, I just brought up Ghost. So basically, this other card is just 1 extra mana per Ghost, but it can also heal. And if you're comparing it to Sumpworks map, it's just plain out worse. And so I do want to talk about Sharp Sight. It can heal, it can give extra power. That's pretty useful, especially if you need the extra power to win the game in some weird situation. I mean, it's very possible. Usually the power isn't going to matter because most elusives are already low power. And you're probably just chumping them out anyway until you can hopefully win the game next turn. And if not, then this card's useless anyway. Other than that, it doesn't give the unit elusive like Ghost can or Sumpworks map can. Sumpworks map grants it elusive. That's much better than this card. So I mean, Demacia needed some elusive help, but I mean, this only being a defensive elusive for 1 turn is much worse than Sumpworks map, which just grants an elusive, or Ghost, which is an offensive elusive for 1 burst mana. That's so much better than what Starsight is giving you, which isn't even an elusive. It's just giving you a blockable, elusive blocker, which is just really bad. And it doesn't close out the game. I mean, you're not really... I mean, I can't think of there's a couple games where this might buy you a turn, but if you're needing this card to survive, then you're already losing pretty badly, and it's going to be hard to come back just because of a Starsight. You'd rather have something else, and that just... It doesn't feel like a great card. I might be missing something. Maybe there's a new elusive or something. I don't know. Even with... I mean, like, if they're giving elusive some pretty good tools with, like, Snooze Bottom from yesterday's spoilers, like, comparing this to Snooze Bottom is going to put elusives in a really good position. This is not going to help against elusives at all. It's probably never going to be played because it's such a tech card. Such a tech card, guys. Like, you're never playing this unless it's a completely... really bad elusive meta, because it just doesn't work in any other deck. Ghost and Sumpworks map can actually become finishers for you, while also helping you defend against the elusive strategy. This only has the defensive properties, not the offensive, which means it's just a bad card. Next, we have Scorched Earth, a 3-mana fast speed kill a damaged unit or destroy a landmark. This is basically a Noxian Guillotine without the added benefit of being able to do it multiple times, but it has a different benefit of being able to destroy a landmark. I definitely see this being played over Noxian Guillotine. I hardly ever get more than one kill off Guillotine, and given that there's going to be some pretty powerful landmarks, I definitely feel like this is just going to be a pretty nice card. Maybe if you're playing 2 Noxian Guillotines, you'll play Noxian Guillotine other than this. Or, I mean, I can just see you playing this over Noxian Guillotine in most metas. And then last we have Stalking Broodmother, a 7-mana 6/6 dragon. So this increases, this basically is added on to Egghead's grab. And also Involius Vox's grab. I just pulled it up here because it says whenever an ally of Fury kills an enemy for the first time, create a random dragon follower in hand. And because Stalking Broodmother is a dragon, is going to be able to create it as well. Now, Stalking Broodmother is a 7-mana dragon. We haven't really seen any good dragons for that particular mana slot. It's got Fury, and it's a 6/6. That seems pretty good. But the real power is Scout. Being able to attack twice with the Fury keyword is insanely powerful. Like, it gains +1/+1 when they chump block it. If they're chump blocking it with something above 1 power, then, I mean, it's going to take a little bit of damage. But especially with Involius Vox in the deck, where you're going to want your units to be killing things a lot. Now, of course, Involius Vox only works the first time each turn, but now you can Stalking Broodmother. They, have to block. And you don't have to give up your attack before they can kill Involius Vox. With something slow speed. So it just works really well for the deck. It might even be a new Demacia finisher over something like Genevieve. I'm not sure though. Genevieve is 6 mana and has the Challenger feature, which is probably going to outweigh the want to have the Fury over the Challenger, especially when it costs 1 more for not much of a better body. Actually, Genevieve has a better body because she gives everything +1/+1. So overall, just worse than Genevieve in the Demacia deck. But for dragons, just seems like a pretty good card, actually. Dragons right now are in a really weird spot because they have a lot of big dragons like Stalking Broodmother, but no way to win the game. And so the Scout could help push in a little bit of extra damage, especially if you give it Overwhelm from a Noxus card, which is probably going to be a pretty good region to combine this with, although Targon also seems pretty good. So, I don't know. It's going to be really weird. You do have the Zenith Blade from Targon if you're going down that route, and that could also work really well with the Scout trigger. That actually might just make the deck worthwhile. Dragons already wants to be in Targon, and so if you're going to play Zenith Blade on this Stalking Broodmother, that could work. It's kind of all in-ish and not really the way Dragons wants to win, but it's going to be so far that's the only win condition I've really seen that could work really well for this deck. And yes, guys, it does work pretty well. Although if we see something new in the future that's going to change that, I'm all up for it. I'm all up for the champion tomorrow and can't wait to see it. If you guys are equally excited, please make sure to check out the channel, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.